today we're speaking with Mark in Paris. Mark, tell us how old you are, when you got diagnosed, and how you came to be diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Yes, I was diagnosed quite early. I was 52 when it happens. And I'm now 59. So I've been 7 years in this story. And if I have to start my story, well, we have here, after 50 years old, the doctors are prescribing a PSA test. And I wasn't aware about the importance of this test. I lost 2 years. Even I had the prescription for the blood test in my hand. I waited 2 years because no time, because the laboratory where you will make the blood test was full. There was always a line, etc. I wasted 2 years, and when I did the blood test, then I went out with 240 or 270 PSA, which is quite high. I had no symptoms. Yeah, I was doing a lot of sport, a lot of running. And I believe that the running was hiding the pain. When you run or when you exercise, sometimes you have pains and you forget, you don't feel, you are used to this pain, even if sometimes it's not coming from sport, but it's coming from something else. So, yeah, I started with the PSA test at 240 or 270. And then the doctor told me, well, then there is a sign that something is not normal. So you have to do additional exams, ecography, PET scan, MRI. Strangely, there were many exams to do. And well, it took a lot of time to get the appointments, to see a doctor after with the result, etc. So in the end, I had to start two process at the same time. One with the public hospitals and one with the private hospitals, because the waiting line in the public hospital was quite long.
Before we get into the next step, which would be treatment, let's just look at what your initial thing was. You're saying that you had a PSA, your first reading was 270, and that you felt pain. Where was the pain that you experienced?
Well, today I believe these were due to metastasis. I was feeling pains in the ribs and in the bassin, in the bones from the hips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was not very painful, but there was a pain.
And at this point, you're 52 or 54 years old? 52. Okay. So aside from having to choose treatments and, deal with public or private hospitals and insurance and stuff, you're a 52-year-old guy with a what clearly is like a prostate cancer with a red flag on it. What was going through your head?
You have no full stress, like fantastic stress. It's a period where it is a very annoying period. You don't know exactly yet what is a prostate cancer. You are not sure you have until the last exam, until the biopsy. It took something like 2 months to get the biopsy results. And before that, the doctors, they don't want to confirm that you have a cancer. And they cannot confirm how far and how important the cancer is. So this was a terrible period, a lot of stress, a lot of sweating in the bed all time, and you only want to know as fast as possible what is happening.
So as fast as possible for you meant being aggressive and demanding appointments, or how did that play out?
Yes. Even if we have in France a very nice system, it's something new. You don't know where to go. The GP or the family doctor will tell you to go to this hospital, but it doesn't have name. You need to find an appointment. The waiting line is important. And then the doctor will ask you to do some exams, and the exams take time. So it's a long story. It's a long waiting time, and it's a long stress.
Right. So now you're able to get appointments. You're able to choose between public or private hospitals. What kind of treatments were offered to you?
So in the end, they diagnosed that I was metastatic. On the PET scan, I was like a Christmas tree. Yeah, with plenty of metastasis almost everywhere. And the two doctors that I that I had to follow to get the diagnostic, they didn't agree on the treatment. And that was quite a shock because you are weak, you are facing a situation posing enormous stress, and you would like to be cared, to be really driven to some solution. And the two doctors didn't have the same recommendation for the treatment. One wanted to take me through chemotherapy, and the other wanted to take me through Zytiga. And in that case, the decision is on you. So it means that I had to start reading a lot of articles, your website, I discovered your website. I had to talk with different people to make my own opinion about the two treatments and make a choice and convince the two doctors to go on one treatment. And this took something like a month. I was very lucky in the end. We, because the two doctors in the end, they agreed, we went for Zytiga. And that was quite a good decision, since the results for me seems to have been very, very positive. After 7 years, I'm still on Zytiga, and I'm still undetectable.
So you were dealing with two doctors. One chose Zytiga, I guess, and the other was suggesting, what was the other one suggesting?
The two of them were oncologists.
Right.
One was from a private hospital where I could get faster an appointment, and the other was from the public hospital.
But they each were suggesting a different kind of therapy?
Yes.
Okay. So just recall for us, one was Zytiga, is that correct?
Zytiga, yes. Abiraterone.
Abiraterone, yes.
Okay. And the other one was chemotherapy.
Chemotherapy. And
yes.
That would be like an androgen deprivation therapy?
And on top of that, there was ADT, androgen deprivation therapy, of course.
Do you remember what kind of chemotherapy? Was it Taxotere or something like that?
No, because the discussion was not on the product itself, more on whether we should go medicine or chemotherapy.
Okay, so you're a patient, a capable man. You have many books behind you. I assume you've read one or two of them. So there are opportunities for you to understand and to evaluate and analyze the treatment opportunities available for you. Nonetheless, you have two doctors, not violently, but certainly powerfully disagreeing from their professional seats. How does that make you feel regarding whether the doctors could be trusted to make decisions for you at all?
I couldn't understand the reason why each of them wanted to go on the therapy, but it took me some time, some studying and I had to make my own opinion, unfortunately, and this has not been easy. I trust both of them. But I still think, and I'm continuing with both of them, because in the treatment there was a second opportunity where they later on did not agree on the interest of a radiotherapy or not. So I've been living with these two doctors now for 7 years. I trust both of them, otherwise I would have cut. But in the end, the decision comes back to us. And among what they propose, we are not, I was going to say, a dead patient. We have the right to make a choice, and we have the right to decide on the different treatment if necessary. And they all agree on that. In the end, after defending my position, and they agreed, and both of them in the end agreed on abiraterone. And later on, after another discussion 3 years ago, they agreed on radiotherapy, even if this is not SOC.
For those patients who don't feel themselves intellectually capable, how do they deal with a situation that would be similar to what you faced?
I think there is, which is necessary, questions that the patient has to ask to understand why a doctor is making the decision. And here, the doctors, they explain, they try to explain. And of course, there is a lot of discussion outside with eventual doctors that I know, yeah, that served as advice, that helped me clarify what was the situation. I never studied medicine. Yeah, I discovered prostate cancer. I was 52. Didn't know anything about that. Yeah, but the two docters played their role in this process. I mean, this process is one of the right of the patient being part of the decision on its treatment. And we had good discussions. They tried to understand, and in the end, when I insisted for abiraterone, they both agreed, let's go on this treatment. Yeah. So it is more about dialogue with the doctors, asking questions about why and what exactly do I have, and what is the truth of the situation, what is my life expectancy, and what is going to be the side effects of each treatment, and trying them to make the best decision.
So the dialogue that you had with both of these doctors, and that presumably they had with each other around your case, that
No,
sort of,
they
no?
didn't talk to each other, only to me.
That's interesting. Tell me about that.
They know the other doctor exists, but they don't talk together. And in fact, they are not interested into talking to each other. They are interested into talking to me. And once I had the feeling that the fact that I was having two oncologists, which of course has a cost, but a limited cost in France at least, they were happy because they were not bearing the full responsibility, and they were sharing the responsibility with someone else. So I had the feeling that for them, it was a relief.
And for you, was there any sense that you wanted them to speak to each other?
No, no, because this happened by chance. I didn't prepare for two oncologists, except that I tried to get the appointments, and it was taking so much time that I launched a second process. And in the end, the two processes ended more or less at the same time. Was chance.
So good for you that it occurred by serendipity, by fate, by chance. Would you suggest for new patients, for people watching this who are just finding out they have prostate cancer, that they should not leave the idea of fate as an opportunity, that they should be proactive and seek out second and third opinions?
At least second opinion, I think, is important. Yes.
Yeah. And you have these two doctors, they know each other 7 years later. I mean, have they ever, I mean, just they've never even met and
No.
shared their notes and such?
No. They don't know their names. They know that I have someone. They are not interested into the names.
Wait, this is remarkable. So they don't know each other's name. So they know there's a mystery oncologist that's sharing the care and the honor of caring for you, but they've never asked for each other's name. It is a bit amusing, but it's also interesting in that they're allowed to sort of maintain the independence of their intellect and their choice making, that in fact they're not influenced by each other to that degree may in truth be an extraordinary benefit for you. You know, in the United States, we hear of many people saying, get a second opinion, but be sure it's from a different hospital so that these doctors don't influence each other. In a way, you've achieved that just by chance, but in perhaps an ideal way, you've achieved it in that they don't even know whether they're in the same or similar hospital, maybe even their office next door for all they know. I mean, you know where they are, and we won't clue them in. But I mean, the idea that you have these two basically institutions working on your behalf is really quite marvelous, I think. Do you agree with that? Or
Yeah, it's luck, and the impact of on my life is tremendous because abiraterone was probably the right choice. And if I would have started, maybe the fate would have been different. These two these two doctors, as a team, somewhere, we have been more powerful than only one.
where are you health-wise now and what might be on the table for you?
So if I come back to when I started the ADT and the abiraterone, well, that was oh, a shock, an unbelievable shock. I believe. I imagine at 52, you are full of testosterone and you are living with that, and then suddenly you are just like wasted. I was so exhausted. I felt in the street in the first months. I felt in the streets on 2, 3 occasions. It was terrible. I was still working, and I was sleeping anywhere. I was sleeping in the subway. I was sleeping in my office. After lunch, I would close my door and try to make a rest, because otherwise I was not able to go through the whole day. I was coming back home, and sometimes I was sleeping at 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, that was very, very tough. And this is one of the questions that I've seen a lot on your website. People are sometimes very, very surprised by the side effects. Are they going to last long? They are very hard, for sure. They are very hard. And then I would say after years, your body kind of adapts to it. You get used to it. You sleep much more. I actually do not have any social life in the evening, because sometimes if I have a dinner at 9:30, the fatigue, tiredness, my phone on me, and I'm completely burnt, and it's not pleasant for nobody, even for me and for the people, the guests, or the people who invite me. So it changes your life. You have to adapt everything. It reduces your social life. It reduces, of course, your sexual life. Yeah, this is a big transformation, a very big transformation. The only thing is that more or less, years after years, your body adapts, and you get used to it, I believe, and the fatigue becomes easier to handle. Never stops. You have falls suddenly for no reason. You are exhausted for 2, 3 days. I have then to sleep a lot, make some naps, etc. But over the years, the situation has improved, and many people they don't realize that I am sick. Even the people who know about, they are surprised by the fact that, and the influence of sport, the importance of sport in the dealing with the fatigue is obvious. It is strange. I have no clue on that, but by exercising, not too much, just the right level, you feel better during the day, and you will sleep better at night. So yeah, I see that many of our colleagues, I would say, I don't know how to, they are exercising and doing, I believe exercising is weightlifting. I'm running, and it is an help in the end. At the beginning, it was not an help. At the beginning, it was very difficult to run, but I kept this, and over the years, it's an help.
And your ideas around exercise came from yourself or from hearing or reading what other people were writing in our prostate cancer support community?
Everybody says that you have to do sport, and the doctors, they say, do sport. Yeah, but it is not easy. It is not easy after when you get the shock from lack of testosterone, it's terrible, and it is very easy to lose the habit of 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 doing sports, always taking the lift, not going to the gym anymore, not running anymore. And I believe the link you need always to keep this in your life to.
So there's an element of trust in what you hear from other patients, from our peers, and that's fostered or built from Male Care's online community. Is that fair to say, too?
Yes, I'm reading the newsletter every day. I sometimes save some articles on my PC. In particular, I know that I will become castrate resistant, and the newsletter is a great source of good information, and also personal information on how people are dealing, and what they think. And yes, I am reading every day. I know it seems strange, reading the same newsletter every morning for 7 years. Yeah,
It's not that strange. It's so supportive and so helpful. And that's what you're speaking about now.
yeah. I'm not going into. There are some supportive groups with prostate cancer. I believe there are some in Paris. I'm not going because I received from your newsletter all the information I need. Yeah, usually, and the level of expertise of every person is very variable, but they are very skilled um, persons who sometimes I do not understand at all what they are talking about. Yeah, but it's interesting because it raises your knowledge about the disease and what is going to happen. And also, this is very important because I know I will die about this disease probably, and mentally I'm prepared to what is coming. Yeah, it's when it will come. It's a movie I've already read. And I don't find it depressive. I find it's my path and no choice. Better to know what's coming than not knowing.
Sure. And you do see in the community, in our support platform, people do die, and their spouses or children or friends every now and then will put a note like so and so passed away yesterday. Thank you to the group, etc. It's all very heartwarming and all that. But I think, and not to discount any of that, that's brilliant. But to be able to show that as we communicate with each other, even on our virtual platform since COVID, before we had these in-person support groups, but as you say, we've had the online thing for about 7 or 8 years. The idea of sharing with each other, learning from each other, elevating each other's expertise, not just in whether to choose ADT or chemotherapy or abiraterone or enzalutamide or any of the others, or the new stuff and all. I mean, all of that's fine and good and useful, but it elevates us as human beings. I mean, we learn to talk about death and to feel comfortable in what's coming, not desiring what's coming, but comfortable and accepting and using the moments that we have today and in this moment to enjoy our lives as best as we can. And that's what prostate cancer patients do for each other when they connect at the Male Care site. Tell me a bit more about what you're feeling in when you share your experience.
It's just about sharing experience. I see many people who are starting this job, and the the start is very difficult. And I believe they need hope, need they need a light to understand if they are adopting for what they are striving for, what they are fighting, and for what they are accepting the strong side effects. So I'm trying to share some thoughts sometimes on the newsletter, but I'm not very active. But I think it is very important for the old members to share with the new members to help them get through the first years.
And that generates trust in each other. And I mean, trust, it's one thing to read about somebody, I did this treatment and I'm still alive, and that sort of validates their choice. Doesn't validate the idea that it's going to similar outcome for you, and side effects will vary, and they're really quite horrible for pretty much every aspect of prostate cancer treatment. But to share something is to sort of generate trust in that, oh, this person's taken something sacred in their body and putting it into words for me to hear. I am amazed that they would do that, but because of that, I trust what they have to say.
Hmm.
Has that been your experience?
Yes, and understanding what we are living. I went through radiotherapy at one point, and I was in the waiting room with all these people who were waiting for the same treatment, most of them. And well, you have to go day after day for usually many weeks. So you get to talk and discuss with the other people in the waiting room. I was so surprised that some of the patients didn't understand didn't understand what was happening to them. I remember one, didn't even he didn't even really knew if he had a cancer or not. Probably the doctor told him, but he didn't pay attention, or he didn't understand. I don't know. And I think, yeah, I felt very sorry for them, and I tried to explain what I knew and communicate. And I hope everybody going through a disease can at least understand more or less what are the stakes, what are the side effects, what is the reason, because the horizon has a great impact on your life. If you have 2 years to live, or if you have 10 years to live, you are not going to do the same. You are not going to organize your life in the same way. So all this information, understanding the disease is a patient right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And your website, your newsletter is helping in this understanding.
No, and I mean, none of that's possible without 25,000. I think we have 22,000 that were active this morning. Without people generating content about themselves, about their truth from their experience, both with the treatments and the side effects and their day-to-day lives. It's one thing to set up a platform. No, I mean, you're a person, you make your own choices, you know, and that's extraordinary. That makes life beautiful for everyone. I'm grateful to you for being part of that, and everyone gets benefit from it. Tell me more, as we're sort of winding this down, what it is that you think is essential for conversations between doctors and patients.
The doctor must be transparent. He mustn't protect himself behind medical words. He must try to explain in simple words that everyone can understand what is happening. But there is also on the patient side a need for, we are not doctors. PSA for me, I didn't know what it was. PSMA, I didn't know what it was. Yeah, so there are many words, abiraterone, ADT. There are many things that need also to be investigated from the patient side. If he wants to understand what is happening, and if he wants to get prepared. So it's transparency from the doctor's side, and it's a bit of online work for the patient to raise his understanding, to raise his awareness, to understand more or less the vocabulary, yes, and the schemes of the disease. And the newsletter is helping for that.
Mark, thank you for participating in our community all these years and continue to do so for perhaps another couple of decades, which would be nice. 3 or 4 would be even really brilliant. I mean, there are things to do with your life that have nothing to do with prostate cancer, and I wish you much happiness in that as well. And thanks for everyone for listening.
Thanks, Dario.